Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1949B, and today's date is August 21st, 2019, and the title of the episode is Message Decoded, Public Rollout of Declass, Complete Transparency. Now, before we get started, we've been talking about protecting your devices, protecting yourself from big tech. I mean, it's the year 2019, and if you're not using a VPN by now on your desktop, tablet, or mobile device while you browse the internet, then you're really exposing yourself to a lot of potential danger. Here, let me show you how easy this is. Click Connect. Once I'm connected, my IP address is now different than before. See? This month, Virtual Shield is offering a 4th of July celebration special. Sign up for free for 30-day trial to Virtual Shield VPN and see what the hype is all about. You have nothing to lose. Click the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the truth is being released every single day, and we are seeing more and more facts released. The deep state is struggling to control the narrative, and this is going to be a big fail. Why? Let's go back to post 2173. Now, in this post, this is September 2018, it says, Declass coming, more incriminating text releases coming, dark to light carpet bombs, with 3 hours pointing to MOAB, the mother of all bombs. What is happening right now is the patriots are dropping carpet bombs, one after another. And this is prepping the people of the United States. Now, Paul Sperry brings the attention to Mueller misleading the grand jury. He tweeted out the following. Breaking. Mueller may have misled grand jury and court arguing indicted Russian trolling firms spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to influence 2016 election, when in fact newly disclosed government evidence reveals they spent a grand total of just $2,930 on a candidate-specific Facebook ads in 2016. Again, showing that everything that Mueller is saying is completely fake, phony, and false. It is a lie. And once again, he misled the grand jury. All of this is coming out. Now, what's very interesting is that they are preparing the American public for the declassification. And John Solomon, he is saying, listen, there are certain documentation, certain things that are going to be released that are going to rock Washington and everyone in this country once they are released. What is he talking about? Well, first of all, Christopher Steele's confidential human source reports at the FBI. These documents, known in Bureau parlance as 1023 reports, show exactly what transpired each time Steele and his FBI handlers met in the summer of fall of 2016 to discuss his anti-Trump dossier. The big reveal could be the first evidence that the FBI shared sensitive information with Steele, such as the existence of the classified Crossfire Hurricane operation targeting the Trump campaign. It would be a huge discovery if the FBI fed Trump-Russia intel to Steele in the midst of an election, especially when his ultimate opposition research client was Hillary Clinton and the Democratic National Committee. The other documentation. The 53 House Intel interviews. House Intelligence interviewed many key players in the Russian probe and asked the DNI to declassify those interviews nearly a year ago. After sending the transcripts for review last November, there are several big reveals. This would be the first evidence that a lawyer tied to the Democratic National Committee had Russia-related contacts at the CIA. Then we have Stefan Halper, his documents. It has been widely reported that the European-based American academic Stefan Halper and a young assistant, Azra Turk, worked as FBI sources. We know for sure that one or both had contact with a targeted Trump aide like Carter Page and George Papadopoulos at the end of the election. There may be other documents showing Halper continued working his way to the top of Trump transition and administration, eventually reaching senior advisors like Peter Navarro inside the White House in summer 2017. These documents would show what intelligence agencies worked with Halper. Then we have the October 2016 FBI email chain. This is a key document identified by Representative Nunes and his investigators. It will show exactly what concerns the FBI knew about and discussed with the Department of Justice about using Steele's dossier and other evidence to support a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant targeting the Trump campaign in October 2016. If those concerns weren't shared with FISA judges who approved the warrant, there could be major repercussions. Then we have the Gang of Eight briefing materials. There were a series of classified briefings and briefing books the FBI and Department of Justice provided key leaders in Congress in the summer of 2018 that identified shortcomings in the Russia collusion narrative. Then we have the redacted sections of the third FISA renewal application. This was the last of 4 FISA warrants targeting the Trump campaign. It was renewed in June 2017 after Special Counsel Robert Mueller's probe had started and signed by then Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. It is the one FISA application that House Republicans have repeatedly asked to be released. And the big reveal in the currently redacted section of the application is that it contained both misleading information and evidence of intrusive tactics used by the U.S. government to infiltrate Trump's orbit, which means they knowingly did this, and records of allies' assistance. A handful of U.S. allies overseas, and we know it's Great Britain, Australia, Italy, they were asked to assist FBI efforts to check on Trump's connections to Russia. Members of Congress have searched recently for some key contact documents with British intelligence. These documents might help explain Attorney General William Barr's recent comment that the use of foreign intelligence capabilities and counterintelligence capabilities against an American political campaign, to me, is unprecedented, and it's a serious red line that has been crossed. Now, why are they putting all this out there? Why are they continually letting us know what's coming? These are carpet bombs. Then we have Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham. He's going to meet with the Department of Justice Attorney General William Barr this week to advise on the public rollout of classified documents pertaining to the FBI's investigation into President Trump and Russia. And he noted that Americans deserve to know the truth about the now debunked FBI investigation into Trump-Russia collusion and the extent of which it was politicized by former senior official within the Obama administration. Graham also promised that his committee will do an extensive investigation of alleged abuses by those officials. He said, "I'm going to meet the Attorney General this week to talk to him about how best to tell the story. I don't want people to conjecture as to what happened. I want you to read it. Full transparency." Now keep that in the back of your mind. Transparency. And we'll be discussing that a little bit later in this report. Now, what's very interesting is that Judicial Watch, they announced that a federal court ordered a hearing for Thursday, August 22nd, 2019, on Hillary Clinton's email Benghazi scandal. Now, Judicial Watch was seeking a deposition from Hillary Clinton on Wednesday. The court granted Hillary Clinton's motion to intervene in Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information Act case that broke her email scandal wide open. Now, back in December, remember, Judge Royce Lamberth ordered senior Obama administration officials, including lawyers and aides from Clinton State Department, to be deposed and or answer written questions under oath. Now, the court ordered discovery into 3 specific areas: whether Clinton's use of private email server was intended to stymie the Freedom of Information Act request, whether the State Department's intent to settle this case in late 2014 and early 2015 amounted to bad faith, whether the State Department had adequately searched for records responsive to Judicial Watch's request. Judicial Watch deposed nearly a dozen witnesses and will seek additional witnesses and documents from the court, including the deposition of Hillary Clinton and Cheryl Mills. She was Clinton's chief of staff. And what's very interesting is that Clinton doesn't want to be asked these questions. So Tom Fitton tweeted out the following: "Breaking. Federal court grants Hillary Clinton's motion to intervene in Judicial Watch Benghazi FOIA case that broke open her email scandal. Ms. Clinton does not wish to be questioned by our attorneys. He continued, Judicial Watch has recently gathered troubling new evidence about Clinton email scandal, and we hope court will grant us additional discovery to get more facts. And it is outrageous. Department of Justice continues to try to shield Hillary Clinton on her email misconduct. Now, I do believe that's part of the show. I do believe, and as we know for a fact, there is an investigation going on within the Department of Justice, and they're not just going to release this information just yet. But Tom Fitton, he is trying to get Clinton in front of a judge, in front of other lawyers, and he wants to ask her certain questions under oath, and she will not do it. I wonder why. I wonder why she keeps pushing back. Because if she lies, she's in trouble. Let's move on to Jeffrey Epstein. More information is coming to light, and it seems the photo of Maxwell might have been decoded by two individuals. But first, some anomalies in the Jeffrey Epstein case. Cameras malfunction, so they say. Guards didn't check on Epstein. Everything seemed to go wrong during the evening when he committed suicide, or he was assisted, or it was just plain old murder. And now we have the logs who visited Epstein while he was on work release in 2008. They were eliminated by jail officials. They were just wiped. Think about it. No video, no logs back in 2008, no information when he committed suicide. I mean, everything is just being erased. It's kind of odd. Now, what's very interesting is that Epstein's cellmate, Mate Nicholas Tartaglione, he is receiving threats from prison guards to shut up and stop talking about Epstein. And they told him, listen, keep your mouth shut or something's going to happen. We don't need the story getting out there. Now, that's very interesting. We also know that 3 more of Epstein's accusers have filed lawsuits against his estate in Manhattan federal court this week. And these individuals are saying, yes, we had the same exact experience. Now, I know that Bill Barr, he came out and he looked over the coroner's report and said, yes, I do believe that Epstein committed suicide. We need to remember that they don't need Epstein. They want all these players to feel relaxed. Like whatever they did, it completely worked. Now, there are some individuals saying that Epstein is still alive. It doesn't really matter because they have all the information they need. Q has been alluding to this. And what's very interesting is, remember that photo of Maxwell when she was at the In-N-Out Burger and we found out it was a stage photo? Well, Q Blue Sky tweeted out the following, and I find this very, very interesting. This is a picture of Maxwell, and they're pointing out certain objects and certain things within the photo. Now, first of all, it shows a picture of the dog, and we know this is her attorney's dog. But the leash is in knots, and she's sitting on it, which means that she is restrained, cuffed. And then another individual, Archangel Metatron, tweeted out the same picture, but added trade, because that is in the background right behind the car. So what they're saying is that her hands are tied, they're cuffed. She wants a trade, info for safety. It seems, if this is correct, she is communicating with the White Hats. And that's why the photo was staged. Now, let's talk about Dr. Epstein, Google, and Hillary Clinton. Yesterday, we discussed that Dr. Epstein testified that big tech has been manipulating the elections. Clinton responded to Trump's tweet that Dr. Epstein's study was debunked. Dr. Epstein then responded to Hillary Clinton that no way, please provide some proof here that it was debunked. And he decided to start a Twitter storm and started to tweet out all different things. And this is one of his tweets. Hashtag Hillary, hashtag Google poses 3 serious threats to humanity. Number 1, an obscene level of surveillance across 200 platforms. Number 2, the power to determine what content 2+ billion can or cannot see. Censorship. Number 3, invisible manipulation on a massive scale. Then he tweeted out the following. A leaked email showed that in 2014, Google, Eric Schmidt, offered to run Hillary's tech campaign in 2015. Schmidt, in fact, funded the groundwork in a highly secretive tech company, the sole purpose of which was to put Clinton into office. Then we have Rosie Memos. Rosie Memos decided to break down the connection between Google, Perkins Coie, CrowdStrike, Fusion GPS, Clinton, Soros, and many others. And this is the tweet. Number 1. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. The story of Google, Perkins Coie, CrowdStrike, Fusion GPS, Clinton, Soros, and many other players. To begin, Google has been a client of Perkins Coie for quite a long time. Number 2, Google has a very close relationship with Clinton. It goes all the way back to her days as Secretary of State. Not only did they donate heavily to her campaign, they also support the Clinton Foundation. In fact, the boss even made her campaign plan. Number 3, during the campaign, Google and Perkins Coie just happened to partner together to release a tool designated to drive voter turnout. Partnering seems like a strange term considering they have long worked together. Number 4, and Google also decided to venture into cybersecurity. They invested $100 million into a little company called CrowdStrike. Number 5, then a funny thing happened in April when the DNC noticed their servers had been penetrated. They didn't call the FBI. They had an emergency meeting, of course, and in that meeting was none other than Sussman from Perkins Coie, and he took control. Number 6, 4 days later, what did Sussman do? He called CrowdStrike. Why not enlist the help of a company owned by your longtime client, Google? Number 7, guess what else happened in April? Perkins Coie lawyer retained Fusion GPS, who, as we know, provided us with the Trump dossier. Number 8, so Perkins Coie, who Democrats paid just over $26 million in 2016, just happened to have hired the 2 most infamous companies that are responsible for Russiagate. Without either of them, would there be any proof of Russia interference? Boom. And then we have Dr. Epstein to back up the manipulation and to show that Eric Schmidt was working with Clinton. It's all falling apart. Let's head on down to the border. Trump is stopping the deep state in their tracks down at the border. Now, the entire mass migration to our border and all its cascading ill effects can be traced to one thing: the Flores settlement expansion from children to family units by a single district judge. Flores is not a constitutional provision, a statute, or even a court ruling. It's a court settlement designed as a temporary arrangement that actually runs contrary to statute and has been used as a catalyst to undermine every bedrock law of sovereignty. The Flores settlement, originally agreed upon in 1997 and modified in 2001, provided that the government would only house alien children in non-secure state-licensed facilities or release them expeditiously until and unless the federal government writes a regulation to build its own licensing scheme, ensuring the safe and sanitary conditions of the facilities. Given that there are no such state-licensed facilities, and the feds until now have not created their own scheme, it forced them to release unaccompanied minors expeditiously. In 2015, a California judge applied Flores to children accompanied by parents as well, an order that was upheld by the Ninth Circuit the following year. Now, Flores is the source of all the border problems. The Flores law brought over 1 million Central Americans to our border over the past 2 years, saddling Americans with the cost of caring for them, flooded our hospitals with endless medical bills paid for by taxpayers. Agents have taken 21,000 sick or injured illegal aliens to the hospital since January, consuming 250,000 agent man-hours. It fueled the growth of MS-13, fueled the drug crisis by enriching the cartels, tied down border agents, leaving very few patrolling the line, created an entire industry to traffic and steal children to be used as golden tickets, caused countless children to be raped and abused by cartels and smugglers, exposed agents, healthcare workers, and ultimately the American people to contagious diseases. Because of the artificial Flores deadline, some of the worst criminals are incentivized to take kids to the border and get released into the country because we don't have time to vet them. Under Flores, Trump has the power to terminate the settlement with a new regulation. With today's change, the Trump administration is fulfilling one of the options laid out in the Flores settlement by publishing regulations governing the treatment of detained minors. Officially have created a process for certifying the conditions of various facilities they now believe fulfill the conditions of Flores and can be designed to hold children with their parents. Thus, no family separation, no catch and release. The reality is that very few people will wind up in these holding facilities in the long run. Why? Because the minute they hear the scam is over, nobody's going to come. The whole thing will pretty much come to an end. Therefore, it's simply indefensible for anyone to oppose this move unless they downright want illegal immigration, the empowerment of human and sex smuggling, and all its other cascading social, fiscal, and national security problems. Trump is slamming the hammer down on all of this. Boom. Shutting down the deep state. And what are they going to say? Oh, we like human and sex smuggling? We like drugs? We like the gangs? No, they can't say any of this. And they can't even say that he's separating children. They can't say a word. Now, let's talk about the events that happened in El Paso and Dayton, Ohio. During this, the deep state, they used their ammunition, and they had their gun control legislation waiting in the wings. They were waiting for a crisis. And Trump, using the proper optics at the time, said, yes, we're going to be using common sense. We're going to be looking at this and that and the other thing, and everyone went crazy. Remember, he does certain things at certain times to make sure he doesn't build this up even further than it had to go. Agreeing with those individuals who want gun control, agreeing with the mainstream media, and just saying, listen, we're going to use common sense. We're going to be looking at everything. Guess what? They didn't continually push. It stopped them dead in their tracks. Later, when everything starts to calm down and it all fades away, Trump, all he has to do is say, listen, I took a look at this. You know what? We have too many background checks, and it's completely off the table. We need to look at other things and why these people actually do this. And that's exactly what is happening. Now, remember all that talk that, oh, gun legislation's gaining speed in the Senate. Oh, it looks like we're going to be heading to something. It's all dead in the water right now. Didn't happen. Actually, they're saying that the talks right now are low level. It didn't work. And the patriots, they have the control. They have the upper hand. Now, yesterday we talked about Greenland, how there was a project called Iceworm, how there were flights coming into Greenland, how there's tunnels underneath the ice, and how the CIA used Greenland to spy on certain individuals. Now, Trump, he was going to meet the Prime Minister of Denmark, and then he decided to cancel it once he realized that they weren't going to sell him Greenland. Now, the question is, was he really meeting with Denmark, or was he just pointing everyone to Greenland and Denmark? He tweeted out the following. Denmark is a very special country with incredible people, but based on Prime Minister Fredriksen's comment that she would have no interest in discussing the purchase of Greenland, I will be postponing our meeting scheduled in 2 weeks for another time. The Prime Minister was able to save a great deal of expense and effort for both the United States and Denmark by being so direct. I thank her for that and look forward to rescheduling sometime in the future. Now, it looks like the mission is completed for now. Attention brought to Greenland. More to come. But what is very interesting about all of this, and we need to go back to Q for a sec. Remember when Q was telling us how Obama was actually going to the same country that Trump was going to? Well, it just so happens that Obama is planning a trip to Denmark in September. Now, that's very interesting. So he's planning to go there once again. He was there back in 2018. He was there in 2009. And it seems like he likes to follow the president around. Why? Well, this might lead us right back to Greenland, making sure that everything is still in place. Now, the question is, behind the scenes, the patriots, have they been working with Denmark? Think about Iran for a second with John Kerry and other Obama administration officials who visited Iran to speak to the leaders of Iran or North Korea or China or any of these countries. I mean, of course, they're violating the Logan Act, but why are they there? These are the countries where the black sites were. And it seems like they continually go to these countries to make sure that everything is still intact. And it's just very interesting. This is a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. That Obama just so happened to be visiting Denmark in September, and Trump brought attention to Greenland and Denmark. Now, Trump, he's saying that we are very, very close to a peace deal in Afghanistan. And he's saying, listen, these 18 years that we've been in Afghanistan, we're really not fighting. There is no war. Rather, we are a police force in Afghanistan, and this is ridiculous. Exactly. There has been no war. Basically, what has been happening, these administrations have been protecting their assets in Afghanistan. The people of these countries, guess what? They want their country back. Remember going back to 2013, 2014, 2015? Remember how this all works. Once we get into the country, all those people that oppose the new regime that was placed in there by the intelligence organizations, all those people in that country, they're called Al-Qaeda. They're not terrorists, but they need to call them Al-Qaeda so they can bomb them with drones. Think about this for a second. Why does the U.S. stay in all these countries? Why does the intelligence organizations and certain administrations, why do they keep troops there? Because they need to keep the countries intact. They need to keep their leaders in power. And the people of those countries fight back. Trump is out there saying and calling attention to Afghanistan, and he'll be calling attention to all the other countries that, listen, there's no war here. All we're doing is policing. There's no reason for the U.S. to be there. He's already building the narrative to remove the troops from Afghanistan, from Syria, from Libya, from Lebanon, from Iraq. He's going to end these endless wars. Now, in the beginning of the report, I said to remember transparency, because what is coming, and we're seeing a lot of carpet bombs right now, getting prepared and ready for the MOAB, mother of all bombs. I need to go back to post 3178, because this is very important. And this is the only way that we can move forward. And Q says the following: the only way to regain the trust, RE equal justice under the law, RE White House, RE Intel, RE FBI, Department of Justice, Senate, Congress, 5I, our government, of the majority of the American people, is to provide truth, transparency, and prosecution of all those knowingly took part in this illegal manufactured effort, attempted coup, and that's in brackets, bold caps. Actually, all this is in caps, to take down the President of the United States. One opens the door, the Great Awakening. What we are watching right now is the preparation to provide the American people with transparency. People are not just going to hear about it. They're going to be able to read the documents. They're going to see for themselves what these individuals actually did. And it will be explained. This is the only way forward. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.